I'm so happy I can dance. I'm so happy to stand up and dance. I'm so happy I can run. I'm so happy to stand up and run.
I am the Big Mac. I am the Big Cheese. You might say that I am the Big Mac with cheese.
You're listening to the Mike Kara radio program, Eye on the Nation.
Welcome back to our next edition of the Mike Kara radio program, Eye on the Nation. We definitely have our eye on the nation, as always, proudly broadcasting from Azuay, Florida, USA, planet Earth. And my next guest is Susan Schenck. And Susan is the author of the two-time award-winning book, The Live Food Factor, the comprehensive guide to the ultimate diet for body, mind, spirit, and planet. Her book has gained the reputation as the Raw Foods Encyclopedia or Bible, and listeners could actually see her prepare her actual recipes and dishes online at her website at www.livefoodfactor.com, which we'll talk about a little bit later. She also has a master's degree and license in Chinese medicine, herbs, and acupuncture, and her newest book has just come out, Beyond Broccoli, Creating a Biological Balanced Diet When a Vegetarian Diet Doesn't Work. And again, Susan is actually here to continue our series about how to spice up, potlucks and church socials and barbecues and all. When you have to bring something, the first thing we do is we head to Sam's Club or we head to Costco and get a great big thing of whatever mystery product. And the one thing that I think is great that Susan was so nice to respond to this particular request on reporterconnection.com was so awesome, because I'm really glad that we can get a raw food perspective on this, because we're getting so many different suggestions. They're all so good. And Susan, I'm so glad that you can join us and tell us about some recipes. And tell us a little bit about, before we get into the recipes, a little bit about what people should keep in mind. Again, we're talking about raw food, and that these recipes can brighten up and lighten up the party just like anything else then.
Oh, yes. First of all, raw food dishes are healthier. Second, they're tastier, because when you cook food, Mike, what happens to the flavor? A lot of it just dissipates into the air, which is why you can smell it all the way down the hall. You've lost, half the flavor already just by cooking it. So these raw food dishes are guaranteed to be a hit at the potluck.
Oh, fantastic. So let's talk about some of the recipes here. And which one would you like to start with then?
Okay, I'm going to start with a dish that is a cauliflower pate, and it kind of looks a little, when you're done with this, it's going to look a little bit like kind of a mashed potato. And this can be used as a dip. It's a great dip or pate that would go with, chips or vegetable dip, actually, because, chips are really not healthy. So, but you could, maybe bring some carrot sticks with it, or zucchini sticks, celery sticks. And this recipe is so popular that people have actually said, I want to know. They'll say, I want to know who brought that. I want to know who brought this dish. And they'll ask around until they find me. And this one girlfriend, she's been a really close friend of mine for 10 years. That's how I met her. She absolutely had to find out who brought this dish. Okay, so what you do is you take 3 cups of cauliflower and chop it all up, and you just want to use the floury parts. You don't want to use the real thick stem. And then you take 1 cup of cashews or macadamia nuts, 1/4 cup lemon juice, 1/4 cup water, and 3/4 of a tablespoon of sea salt. You want to use a good healthy salt like Himalayan salt or whatever, and 1/2 tablespoon garlic. Those are your ingredients. And you're going to put everything into a food processor using the S-blade. Add the cauliflower a little bit at a time, and it's going to be a lot creamier if you chop that cauliflower up pretty well before you put it in. Blend it until it looks like light and fluffy mashed potatoes. And this amount that I made would serve probably 8 to 10 people, depending on how much they use. But this could be a standalone dish, or it could go with, crackers. I like to make flaxseed crackers, or again, a vegetable dip.
Oh, fantastic! So you said that makes for 8 to 10 people, and obviously, if people want to make more, they could just multiply it then.
Right. Now, I also have a really another cool thing about that dish. It only takes 10 minutes to make. Really, it's a real fast one. Not much to it. Here's another really, really fast one, and this is going to be a big hit. Very big hit. It's chocolate mousse. Now, in fact, if you put cacao in it, it is chocolate mousse. But if you're taking this to a dinner, you might want to put carob powder, because raw cacao or any kind of intense cacao can keep people up at night if they eat a lot of it. So after 5, I would use carob. Okay, what you do is you take one avocado, it has to be a ripe avocado, scoop it out, throw away the peel and the seed, and then 1/2 cup carob powder. And of course, as a raw foodist, I always try to get the raw organic versions, and if you have to go to Whole Foods or go online, your People's Co-op, whatever, that's what you do. Now, again, this is going to be a lot richer if instead of carob you use cacao. And if everybody just has, a heaping tablespoon or so, that's not going to keep them up. But if you're going to serve this, and people are going to eat a substantial amount, like 1/2 cup, they might be a little angry with you that you gave them something that's going to keep them up, because the theobromine in the cacao it acts like caffeine. So you got 1 avocado, 1/2 cup carob or cacao, and then you've got 1/4 cup coconut butter, which again you can get online or Whole Foods or your People's Co-op, and then 1/2 cup raw honey. If you have diabetes or any kind of like low blood sugar, hypoglycemia, I would suggest using yuccan root syrup instead of honey, because it's sweet, but it doesn't affect the blood sugar at all. It is kind of pricey, maybe $12 for a cup, but it's expensive sometimes to eat the best. So all you do simply, and again, this is just a 10-minute recipe, all you do is blend these ingredients in the food processor using the S-blade until it's creamy chocolate. It'll look like Hershey's creamy chocolate or a chocolate pudding. And the benefits of using raw cacao as opposed to cooked cacao or carob is that raw cacao is filled with antioxidants. Heat destroys some of it, as it does with every food. And cacao has traditionally been used on Valentine's Day because it does give you the same kind of feel-good brain chemicals like falling in love does, different endorphins and brain chemicals, and it's also an aphrodisiac because it's high in arginine. So cacao is also an appetite suppressant, which is why nearly all the weight loss products use some form of chocolate bar or chocolate powder, because chocolate will suppress your appetite. Probably, again, it's that theobromine in it. So this is an excellent dessert. This can also be used to top ice cream. You make this and you put a spoonful on the ice cream.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, it serves a lot of different purposes there. So, yeah, we're talking, a little bit about, appetizers and, desserts. And I guess the big question is, now as far as, continue on your list. But, I'm just wondering also if you had like a main course as well, or if maybe that's the next one. I don't know.
Oh, you want a main dish?
Yeah. Well, either way, if you have another one, different one, you could go ahead. If I don't want to take you out of order there, whatever you want to do.
Well, Well, I do have a main dish. It's also, you can see me making this on TV on my website. And let me pull that one up. It's kind of a raw spaghetti. And what you have to do is you've got to go to, again, Whole Foods, your co-op, or wherever, and you got to go to the refrigerated section and look for kelp noodles. And you want to get 2 packages of these kelp noodles. When I was in the U.S. a couple years ago, they were $4 each. I don't know if the price has gone up. These kelp noodles, by the way, the whole package, the entire package, has about 30 calories, so it's very, very low calorie, extremely, nutritious because of the kelp, good for the thyroid. It's got iodine in it. You can also find these on kelpnoodles.com. Now, to make what we want to do is we want to soak these in pure water until they're soft. Soak them for a few hours, these noodles, and because we're not going to cook them. Then you take, for the tomato sauce, you take 2 cups of tomatoes, 1/2 cup sun-dried tomatoes, and 2 pitted dates. And you're going to blend it in your food processor using the S-Blade. That is your tomato sauce. Now, here's your pesto sauce. 1 cup pistachio nuts, 2 cloves garlic, 1/2 bunch fresh basil, 1 teaspoon Himalayan or sea salt, and 1/2 cup pure water. This is going to be your pesto sauce. And another good thing you can do, too, is use cilantro instead of basil, or use both of them. And if you don't have a cup of pistachio nuts, use a cup of walnuts. So you want to put, after soaking the noodles, you want to drain the water, and the noodles should be, after they've been soaked 3 or 4 hours, they should be soft, like cooked spaghetti noodles. And then you're going to put on the tomato sauce and top it with the pesto sauce. Then you mix it all up with a spoon, and you've got your spaghetti. It's really tasty and very nutritious.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's pretty cool, Susan. That a lot of people don't necessarily think of spaghetti as a raw food, but yeah, that's pretty cool then. So I mean, there's a lot of these recipes that people think traditionally of things that have to be cooked that you can prepare in a raw way then.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's kind of like pasta al dente, which is very, very lightly cooked, Okay, the next one I have for you is a Middle Eastern salad. I lived in Saudi Arabia for a year, and I also, before I did that, I was in Texas, and I had a lot of students that were from different Middle Eastern countries, and every time they had a potluck, somebody would bring this salad. And, in the United States, we always think that a salad has to have lettuce, or most salads do tend to have lettuce. Well, this one doesn't have lettuce, and it's a very, very colorful, extremely tasty, very filling and delicious, nutritious salad. So what you do is you take, I'll tell you what the ingredients are first. 2 tomatoes, 1 bell pepper, green or red, 1 cucumber, half a bunch, or at least a quarter of a bunch of cilantro chopped, a bunch of green onions chopped up, some olive oil, a half teaspoon of salt, and juice from 1 lemon. So what you do is you chop up the cilantro till it's really fine, and you chop up the tomatoes, bell pepper. You might even want to use 2 bell peppers instead of 1. And the cucumber and the green onions. You toss it all together. And I always put it in a glass bowl because, tomatoes and lemon juice and all that, it does extract some of the plastic from the plastic bowls. You want to squeeze the lemon juice and put it on that, and also mix in some olive oil and the salt. And one thing I've noticed, too, is that I get extremely bloated if I would eat cucumbers. The difference is if you scoop out the seeds after you slice the cucumber in half, take a spoon and just throw away all the seeds, scoop them out. Then you won't get bloated. So that's the key to not getting bloated with cucumbers. And this salad is so tasty. Especially, you can also throw in parsley. Parsley will give it some more greens, but the cilantro and the green onions really spice it up there.
Oh, okay. And you mentioned green onions, so those are the best to use is the green onions for this recipe.
Mm-hmm. Yes, or you could use red onions. White onions tend not to be so tasty raw, but green onions or red onions. Red will give it a little more color. It'll give it a purplish color.
Oh, okay. That sounds good. And you have another one for us, Susan?
Oh, I've got tons of recipes. My book, The Live Food Factor, has 120 raw food recipes. So some of these actually come from that book. Let's see if I can find another good one from that book. Okay, here we got some. If for this one you have to have a K-Blend machine, or a Vitamix. And this is a raw soup, and I call it everybody's favorite celery soup because it's like a cream of celery soup, and it's so delicious. What you do is you take a bunch of celery, about 8 stalks, a bunch of cilantro, and a bunch of fresh dill. And you put maybe 5 cups of water, 4 to 5 cups of water in the Vitamix. You blend it all up, and you put in about 1/4 of a cup of extra virgin olive oil. And you put in about 1/4 of a cup to half a cup of raw almond butter or raw tahini. 3 cloves garlic, 1 to 2 tablespoons miso, 2 tablespoons soy sauce or nama shoyu if you want the raw soy sauce, 1/4 of a cup of lemon juice, and you blend all of this until it's very, very creamy, light and creamy. And this can be, you can serve it because it's all creamy. You don't need a spoon. You can just serve it in a cup, and people can drink it. Now, with this soup, if you want to make it into a raw chowder, you take this, and this is your base. And then you take a couple of ears of fresh sweet corn, and you scrape off the corn, and you chop up grate some carrots, and grate some zucchinis, chop up some bell peppers, and then you throw it in and stir it in, and now you've got your vegetable soup, chowder. Oh, and what's really fun is if you take some ripe avocados and scoop out tablespoons or teaspoons of the avocados, so that there's little chunks of avocados. That gives it a heavier flavor, a much richer thickness and flavor. But you don't want to blend these vegetables into K-Tech. You want them to be chunks like a vegetable soup.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that definitely sounds good there. And so, yeah, let's see here. So that sounds like a great recipe. And like we were saying, that now a lot of these recipes are in the books here. And we were mentioning that the Live Food Factor, and also the other one was Beyond Broccoli.
Beyond Broccoli. Yeah, Beyond Broccoli does not have recipes.
Okay.
Only the Live Food Factor does. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So right now there's not any, because Beyond Broccoli, then the whole idea was that it was going beyond vegetables. It was incorporating meat, or?
Yes, to eat meat. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I can give you, I don't have all the exact measurements, but this is a recipe that I often make, which would really be a big hit, I'm sure. You take some fish, like trout or sea bass, some good fish, and you soak it, cover it with lime juice overnight, and then you marinate it in lime juice, so that cooks the fish. It's still going to be raw, but it also allegedly kills, the parasites. Then you want to chop up really finely some cilantro, onions, tomatoes, bell peppers, and just a little bit of hot pepper. And you want it to be chopped up really finely as if you were making salsa. And then you mix that in with the fish, and you've got ceviche. And that's a common South America. I live in South America now, and that's a very common South American dish.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. So, yeah, a lot of different recipes. So, yeah, we were talking a lot about a little bit of appetizers, main course, and I like the idea of the mousse there. And there's a lot. Do you have any other like dessert recipes like that, or?
Here's another really easy and quick, fast dessert recipe. It's called raw candy. It's from the Live Food Factor. You want to take, maybe, depending on how much you want to make, let's say a cup of nuts, and almonds or walnuts are really good for this. And then you want to take maybe half a cup of dates and make sure they're pitted. Sometimes I found that I always cut them open with scissors because sometimes even when they're allegedly pitted, there's the odd one that has a pit, and there's nothing more devastating to a tooth, to bite into something, and then there's a pit. So you want to get some dates, and you might want to soak them for 20 minutes, or you could chop them up a little. And then you want to get some raw chocolate or raw carob powder, maybe half a cup or so. Just kind of experiment. This is a loose recipe without really intense measurements. You just kind of do it till it tastes good. And then you get some shredded coconut. And what you do is you mix the nuts, dates, and the chocolate or carob in a food processor using the S-blade until it forms. You want to do it until it forms a ball that bounces around inside the machine. And the first time you do this, it looks so awesome because all of a sudden you've made this mixture, and all of a sudden there's this it all forms a ball. And the ball's bouncing all around your food processor. And that means it's reached the right consistency. So then you take it out and you roll with your hand. You want to wash your hands, of course. And then you want to take out little pieces, like a heaping teaspoon of the big ball. Roll it around in your hands until it makes a nice ball. And then you roll it in the shredded coconut. Now, another thing you can use instead of shredded coconut is, again, cacao powder or carob powder. And a third thing you can use are sesame seeds. So you've got all these assortment of different raw candies. Some of them are rolled around in coconut, some are rolled around in sesame seeds, and some are rolled around in powdered cacao or carob. And it looks beautiful. And if you want to, you can garnish them by putting, raisins or red goji berries or cranberry berries on the top, or perhaps almond slices. You can kind of take the top, press it down, and stick a little garnish in it to make it look prettier. So that's a really nice raw candy, very healthy.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's a good point, Susan. That if people are looking for something that are healthy, good for you, make you feel good too. That these recipes are that, but I'm sure they all have their varying degrees of nutrition. But I mean, they're all pretty much healthy and they're fun to eat. Then.
Yeah, it's really, really great to eat raw foods. And it really, these recipes are so unique. You take them to a potluck, and people say, "What's this? This is different." People think of raw foods; they think of just eating tossed salads all day long, and of course, nothing could be further from the truth. So, what kind of? Did you want another one, or?
Yeah, let's try another one here.
Time for another one? Okay.
Yeah.
Here's pecan pesto. Now, in the raw food movement, we learned that we usually soak nuts overnight, or minimum 4 hours, and then you rinse them and drain. And the reason we do that is because the nuts contain enzyme inhibitors. Truly raw nuts will contain enzyme inhibitors, which we don't want to inhibit the enzymes. We want those enzymes. So by soaking them, you get rid of the enzyme inhibitors. So what you do is you take 2 cups pecans, soak them 48 hours, rinse and drain. You want to take about half a bunch of finely chopped cilantro, a medium red onion, 4 cloves of garlic, and 4 tablespoons of fresh ginger chopped up. Juice from 1 small lemon or lime. Mix everything up in a food processor using the S-blade. And then use this just like you would, this is like a pecan pesto. So this would be like a sauce or a dip. And it's great if you put it over, like use it as a vegetable dip, or you could even put it over those kelp noodles that I was talking about. Soak the kelp noodles and put them over that.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so I think we have time for one final recipe. So if you'd like to give us one final recipe, please.
Okay, I'm just flipping through these. Did you have anything in mind that you wanted, or?
Oh, well, let's see here. Do you have anything with potatoes in it?
Potatoes are kind of hard to eat raw. One thing you can do, though, is with a food processor, take yams, use the slicer attachment, and you can take the yams, slice them really thin, and now you've got potato chips.
Oh.
Those can be used along with the cauliflower pate or the pecan pesto, used as a dip, or you could bring that with guacamole or something like that. How about a beverage?
Oh yeah, let's. That would be good.
Okay, this one, back in the day when I was a kid, we used to go to this, Orange Julius had just come out, and they used to throw raw eggs in them, and then the whole salmonella fear came out, and they quit doing it. So this one is sort of an imitation of similar to that. You take a couple of frozen bananas, and of course you take the peels off the bananas before you put them in the freezer and freeze them overnight, because otherwise it's going to be hard to get that peel off. And then you want to take some fresh squeezed juice from 2 or 3 oranges, and then blend that in a blender. Doesn't really have to be too heavy duty, just a regular blender. And then if you've got an egg that you want to throw in, make sure that it's from someplace really reputable, like Whole Foods or something, and smell the egg before you put it in. Make sure the yolk is bright orange. Make sure that the white part is clear. These are ways to test, and don't use any egg that has a crack in it, because then bacteria has obviously gotten in it. Because if you want it to be like the old-fashioned Orange Julius, you need to have that raw egg, which will fluff it up like crazy. Now, if you're not brave enough to put in the raw egg, but you want there to be something with a little more flavor, throw in a handful of nuts, especially walnuts would be good in this smoothie. And if you want it to be even healthier, throw in a little bee pollen, a few spirulina flakes, maybe what would also be good here would be a tablespoon of coconut butter. And this would serve about 2 people. But if you just keep throwing in more of the same ingredients, you could make a whole pitcher full and take that to your potluck.
Oh.
You want to refrigerate it though, because you want to serve this cold.
Oh, okay. So yeah, best serve cold. Great. Okay, so yeah, that sounds good, Susan. Okay, and before we go, we want to let everyone know that now all the books except that one with the recipes, except the one with the fish, are listed in your book. Plus, you're saying over 100 more. So if people like to get more information, they can check out the book, and they could go to your website too.
Yeah, the book, you can get it on Kindle, or you can go to Amazon and get the book, The Live Food Factor by Susan Schenck, or you can order it from your favorite bookstore.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do. And as we mentioned at the beginning of this, Susan, I just want to reiterate that one of the cool things at your website, www.livefoodfactor.com, that you have there is you actually, I'm not sure if you're making some of these recipes, but you're making different recipes so people can get more information there too then.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, Susan, we want to thank you so much for your time, and any final thoughts or a quick recipe or whatever you'd like.
No, just it was great to be on your show, Mike. Thank you so much.
Okay, my pleasure. My guest has been Susan Schenck, and you're listening to the Bike Care Radio program, Eye on the Nation, and please catch us again next time.